ba ba na ba na bow 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 now bow now bow. Welcome to part 3 of Let's Play Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis. I don't even know what I'm trying to go for. Anywho, yeah, welcome to what I had hinted at in the previous video as the worst zone in the game. I don't even think you really have to be a rocket scientist to figure out why. This isn't like one of those other playthroughs I've gone through where, like, most of the zones or levels I've labeled as the worst, you know, came out of, like, my own preferential taste. Like, it is pretty much an objective fact that, this zone is garbage, but not for that reason alone. That is my fault entirely. I apologize. Basically, remember how I mentioned in Aquatic Ruins, where one of the main problems with that zone is the tendency to put enemies in positions where you can't really avoid them because you're coming into contact with momentum-based, like, slopes, and you have to build up speed, and the game just doesn't really give you any room for error and just kind of lets you run straight into them, and unless you absolutely know it's coming. Well, basically, Metropolis Zone is the embodiment of that, and that isn't to say everything about this zone is bad, but everything as far as the bad enemy placement concerns have been mentioned, you know, back in Aquatic Ruins, for example. That is magnified at 10-fold in this level, because I swear there are countless moments where you're going up things like this, and then all of a sudden they'll greet you with an enemy where you either have to come in from a really, like, specific angle to tackle them, or you're just gonna, you know, fly into them and just take the hit, and it's just really aggravating, and I just cannot stand shit like that whatsoever. If I cannot react to my enemy that's coming on screen, or, you know, I'm coming in from a position where it's difficult to take them down without, like, really strategizing super far in advance without giving me the chance to, like, really adapt myself to their pattern at the specific point in time, then, you have colored me disappointed, basically. Another thing I don't really like about, like, Metropolis Zone as well, that I don't see a whole lot of people talk about, are these things. I swear, these things that feel like such big time wasters in the sense that, like, you're going up them and, like, you're also having to deal with, like, a lot of, like, annoying starfish-shaped looking grenade enemy. I don't fucking know what they're called, and, needless to say, without completely ruining your momentum, it can actually be kind of annoying to put yourself in a place where you have to, like, stop what you're doing, because, like, you can't really just come to a halt as you're coming down and up these bolt platform thingies. Like, you have to, like, slow down, and then when you jump, you have to hope to God that you got your momentum, like, in place, otherwise you're gonna just fly off the thing. And all the while, you're having to position yourself around the starfish enemies, and that's why I just don't feel like, you know, something like that really works when you're trying to put them up those things. And I get that they're trying to make them a little bit more involved, in the sense that, like, they're trying to, you know, put in a sense of danger as you're climbing up these otherwise really boring bolt platform thingamajigs. But at the same time, it's just a concept that doesn't really work all too well. But I guess you could apply that to Sonic as a whole. Yeah, I swear, it's like, you know, when you talk about bad games, like, a lot of it can come from, like, ideas that are poorly executed on the developer's part. Or, like, they obviously had good intentions, but they either rushed out ideas or concepts altogether, and they just didn't end up working as planned. Or, like, you know, obviously the game was rushed. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's not much else to say other than that. But then you play it, or, you know, it's just half-baked. A half-baked concept. But then, like, I guess that's another thing I don't like about most Sonic games, is that, like, a lot of them tend to rely on these stupid ideas that, even conceptually speaking, you have to kind of look at them and be like, why would you do this? Like, I'm talking about things like the Weir Hog, the mechs in Sonic Adventure 2, which go against everything that the Sonic series has built up to that point as far as speed and momentum-based gameplay is concerned. It's like, is it me, or does Sega have this, like, really atrocious habit of putting in really wacky ideas without actually thinking on paper if this is actually fun or not? You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's always kind of been Sega at heart when you think about it. Like, you go back and look at things like the Sega CD and, like, the Dreamcast Online. And it's like, if it weren't for the reckless way of thinking, like, you have to think, like, sure, like, things didn't really pan out for them in the end. But it's like they were too ambitious for their own good, but they are also ambitious in kind of, like, a very influential way, in the sense that, like, it's hard for me to picture, like, where gaming would have gone without them. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to ask yourselves, like, if it weren't for the Dreamcast and introducing online, like, would we really have had things like, yeah, online-based gameplay and leaderboards and, you know, MMOs? Console-based MMOs? Like, if it weren't for Phantasy Star Online, we probably wouldn't have had games like Final Fantasy XIV, for example. It's so crazy to think about a landscape where Sega didn't exist and didn't give us all of these ideas, you know what I'm saying? And even the internet browsing and the fact that people had actual accounts. Oh, this is what I was talking about, where they just put enemies like that in stupid positions where you can barely work around them. Oh wow, I didn't even run into a checkpoint. Shit. But it's like, you gotta ask yourself, what if, you know? Did Sega really benefit themselves with this kind of, like, aggressive way of thinking and, you know, ambitious take on things, or... Somebody had to do it. Okay, I guess I'm just starting to ramble at this point. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's see if I can actually concentrate, because I gotta start saving some rings. My lives aren't looking as good as I thought they'd be. Okay. Wow. Okay. I don't think I've ever been through that route before. The one with the weird thorn-like things popping out of the ground like that. Again, that's what I really like about the Genesis games. It's like, every time I play these games, I always end up just taking a new route altogether. And it's like, the levels never 100% feel the same, but at the same time, like, as I've mentioned before, the levels have their own kind of quirk and style to them, where, like, you look at these things, and even despite the path you've gone through, you know, previously, you go through these alternate paths and see these different things, and then you're like, okay, these kind of make sense in the context of things. Like, I kind of get, like, from the, you know, the flow of the level how something like this would work, and it kind of makes sense, you know? I hate where they put that stupid graph. Like, how do you... Oh my god. I think we're nearing the end of this zone, maybe? Oh, if so. I don't really like Metropolis all too much. Okay, thank god, checkpoint. I don't know why I haven't really been running into any checkpoints thus far, but... I can only hope we get just as lucky going into the next level, because Metropolis Zone, as most people know, is the only zone in the entire game where instead of 2 acts, you have 3. It's almost as if they intentionally planned on this zone being a big pain in the dick. Also, am I the only one who finds the Metropolis Zone song pretty annoying? I tend to hate songs with incredibly short loops, and this place is no exception. Especially if it's like incredibly high-pitched. How did I not grab any of those rings? Okay. Whew. Dude. That level was so long, what the heck? Ah! But I got a life, so it doesn't matter. Alright, let's go, Metropolis Zone 3. What you got up your sleeve? Well, starting off the level on a bad note, apparently. Alright, so I think we can take this path on the right here. Oh god. No, there was this one playthrough I was doing with my friend when I was trying to do a co-commentary of this. And I swear to god, those stupid fucking, like, compressor joint things, or whatever they're called. The compressors. Like, I must have, like, died at least 3 or 4 times in a row just recklessly running into them. Because I don't know what it is. It's like, I don't know if it's because of the lack of the fact that you don't necessarily know they're coming because there's not really, like, I don't want to say template. What's the word for it? The word's on the tip of my tongue. When an enemy is foreshadowing something, and, like, that's basically your cue to know, like, if they're going to do something or not. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, I always feel like I barely see those things coming as soon as I approach them, and I always, like, run into them before it's too late. Though it might also just be because they're at the end of, like, a section where you would spin dash through, and it just doesn't really bode all too well. Okay. Glad I waited that out. But yeah, this zone is just pure evil, and I just want to hurry up and get through it. It's like the one part of Sonic 2 I legitimately don't enjoy playing. Despite how much I had said previously, like, this is probably my favorite game of the Genesis games. For weird, guilty pleasure reasons. Go, Tails, go! Give him your mean, angry game face. Arrgh. He's so cute when he runs. Oh my goodness. Tails is just the cutest thing. Like, I swear, if I ever met Tails in real life, I'd probably give him head pats and shit. And give him a big hug. Dude, the angle down? What? Oh, that's fucking bullshit, dude. Again, like, these... The level architecture doesn't always give you enough space to, like, position yourself around these things, and it's absolute bullshit, you know? So now I have to be extra careful. That sucks. And I bet the enemies probably respawn, so that doesn't really bode all too well for me either. Or wait, this isn't quite Mega Man. I don't think they respawn. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. Okay, I guess he's just gonna disappear outright. Alright, just run, run, run. Oh my goodness. Oi! Okay. Wow, Act 3 is a lot shorter than the previous one, that's for sure. Oi! Maybe it's just Act 3 or 2 or whatever that's actually really bad. Not the rest of the zone. Okay. There is an exploit you can do with this boss, I just can't remember what. Ah, not that. Definitely not that. Alright, let's grab a few rings. And do a teabag while we're at it, because I'm totally gonna kick Eggman's ass the moment we get over there. Yeah, there was an exploit, I just can't remember what it was. Oh god, I didn't even mean to go into spin dash. Okay, so I gotta do it as he's rising if I want to avoid taking damage. Otherwise, I gotta risk dealing with wacky hitboxes. Which, I had to wonder, like, how did they end up doing something like that in the day? Like, creating sporadic hitboxes like that around them. Like, I bet that had to have been, like, a nightmare to test out. And that's all she wrote. Alright, let's go, Tails. Cute furry fox boy. Alright. And now here we are in Sky Chase Zone, and it kind of reminds me of a Super Mario Land level where you're just kind of riding on a plane and avoiding shit like it's a Gradius level, except you have full control of your character and it's a bit more involved than just riding an airplane and shooting shit. You actually have to like control the plane and also control the character, of which is riding on the helm of the plane, which I find kind of interesting. Like, it's kind of cool, actually, now that I think about that. Like, now that I think about it, because, like, you would think something like that would never work, but then, like, you actually, like, go and play it and practice, and it's like, oh, this actually doesn't feel quite as bad as it would look like on paper. It also has, like, the most least involved music track ever. Like, I'm already not a huge fan of the Sega Genesis soundtrack outside of, like, the actual Sonic games. But then you hear tracks like this, and it's like, wow, I don't know what you guys were going for, but it doesn't certainly seem like you guys were trying either, so... That's a big old ship. Tails finds it interesting, too. Just don't spin dash off the plane. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. Or, well, correction. Don't spin dash and jump. I wasn't actually trying to do that, but it just ended up panning out that way. Ah! I thought I was about to fall off the goddamn plane for a second. Jump! Because the game certainly doesn't tell you that you're about to die within like 5 seconds at the start of the stage. Okay, so next time on Let's Play Sonic 2, it's probably going to end up being the finale, so see you guys then.